This is video number 3 in a series of videos that I am doing about how to help your aging parents when it has been determined that they can no longer live in their home anymore. And I am sharing with you the personal journey that I am experiencing right now and have been for the last couple of years. In my first video and my second video, I share details about the steps that I have had to take to get my mom to where she needs to go, and also how to deal with the house that she lived in and all of the personal property. And I will put those 2 videos at the end of this video so that you can watch those. But in this video, in this very heavy topic that we're talking about, I'm actually talking to you today about renting out the house. That is what I have personally chosen to do with my mother's house. I'm in real estate, and so selling a house, that comes very easy to me. However, it was really a financial decision for us to keep the house and rent it out to offset the expense, the very expensive expense of assisted living. It doesn't cover the entire monthly bill for assisted living. For us, it's about $6,000 a year, and that is for a very, very modest studio apartment in an assisted living facility just north of Tampa in the Land O'Lakes Lutz area. But nonetheless, it was determined that we should hang on to the house and rent out the house and try to offset that expense. Now, I sell houses, I don't rent them. And so one of the very first things that I did in conjunction with everything else I was doing, doing the personal property, getting my mom to a safe space, dealing with repairs that needed to happen at the home, I was also calling property management companies in the area where my mom's house was, because even if I did manage rental properties, this one is an hour and a half away from me. So it was just something that I thought I can't do. I can't manage the property. So I reached out to a reputable property management company and asked them questions. What do you do? How much does it cost? So if you think that you might be able to rent out the house or need to rent out the house, I would highly recommend contacting a reputable property management company. Like, that's really one of the only things that they do, because they have the appropriate rental agreement, and it needs to be very strict, honestly. We like to think that we're nice people and we can be super nice and the tenant is going to do all the right things, but in reality, we have to protect the asset, the property, right? So you need to make sure that that rental agreement is really, super strong. But also the property management company will search for the tenant for you. They will screen the tenants to make sure that they're credit worthy. And that's huge, because you want to make sure if you get somebody in that property that they're able to pay the rent. You don't want Pacific Heights. Does anybody remember that movie? I think it was in the 80s, Michael Douglas, and another famous actress. It was scary because the tenant got into the home and never paid and did a whole bunch of stuff and took out all the valuable things in the home. We want someone who is going to pay, and if something goes wrong, the property manager will take care of it. So if the tenant doesn't pay their rent, then they will evict them. They will go through the proper steps. If the property has a repair or something like that needs to be made, then they will also take care of that with their list of vendors. They'll make sure that the pool is maintained, that the yard is maintained, that you won't have to do any of that. Now, that comes at a price to you. So let's say you're charging $3,000 a month for the rent, and the property management company will take somewhere between 10 and 15% in general of the monthly rent that is collected, and then you would get the rest. But that being said, they will also take like the first whole entire month, I think it is. So every property management company is going to be a little bit different. But so I was going to go down that route. I really was. And then luckily, the neighbor across the street, their adult daughter and son-in-law, they were looking for a place to live. They wanted a house. They were in some sort of apartment not too far away from the home, but they wanted a house, and it was so cool that it was going to be across the street from her mom. And so I said, well, all right, let me go down and I'll meet them, because my mom had actually met them many years ago, because the neighbors had lived in the neighborhood for 20 years as well. So my mom knew the people that would potentially rent the property. She definitely knew the mom, but she knew the daughter as a young girl, and then as she got married. And so I met them in person, and they seemed to be okay. And we were able to negotiate price and lawn maintenance and pool maintenance, and they have a couple of dogs. So I said, okay, well, we can do dogs, but we have to charge a fee for that, in case the dogs mess up the property. And most people have dogs. Do you know that more people, I read this today, more people in the United States have dogs versus children? It's crazy. So, I mean, you're probably going to have to rent out a property and allow pets if you want to get a tenant in there that is, and they can be good quality. I have pets. I take care of my pets like they're my kids, I swear. So don't let that deter you. Just know that you can have a pet deposit or even an increase in the monthly rent. So that being said, I kind of lucked out, because they liked the location, they liked the property, they liked the price, and I probably could have got a little bit more for the home, but it was worth it to me to have someone in there that I kind of knew. And also, I was willing to give them a little bit lower than market price rent for that fact. And also, I didn't have to worry about the fees that I was going to be charged from the property management company. However, if that didn't work out, I was fully ready to go with the property management company. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story here about the rental process. So I, as a real estate broker, I have access to real estate contracts, one of them being a rental contract. It's not as ironclad as I would like it to be. It's a standard issued form from Florida Association of Realtors and the Florida Bar Association. It's okay, but it's not as tight as a property management company would have it. But I was able to do that myself because I am a licensed real estate broker. I would not recommend doing that unless you have an attorney or a licensed real estate broker involved. But I was able to do that. So we got the paperwork worked out, and we had to meet to do a walkthrough before they would get the keys. And so we met, and there were a couple of pieces of big furniture that I had not been able to dispose of. And luckily they said, you know what, we're happy to use them, so you don't have to move them. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. So that worked out good as well. But as we were going through the property, they have a daughter that they split custody with. So the daughter lives with the mom at different times of the year, but she happened to be there. I would say she was probably about 11 years old or something. And she said, as we were walking around, I said to her, I said, oh, this is going to be so exciting that your dogs are going to have a backyard and they can go outside, because they lived in an apartment. So that, couldn't happen before. And she said, yeah, I just don't know where the rat's going to go. I said, what? And the parents went like this. They went, and the daughter immediately knew that she had said something wrong. So I look at the parents and I said, I'm sorry, did she just say a rats? And they said, well, yes, she has a pet rat. Ay, ay, ay. And I said, okay. And, I took them aside and I said, look, she can't have that rat here. Like, dogs, okay, but a rat, I can't do that. Like, I can't do that. I mean, if you've ever had a rat in the house, ever, that you had to get an exterminator to come to your house, you know the kind of damage a rat can do. It is not, I don't know, it is not for me, and it's not something I want in my mom's house, because I want it to stay nice. And so I said, we can't do that. He said, oh, okay, yeah, that's no problem. So All right, so here we go. Now, like a week later, we meet to actually exchange the key because I had to do a couple of things. I had to get the house actually cleaned and take care of a couple of little things that came up during the walkthrough. And we were there and I said, just reiterating about the rat not being here. And they said to me, our daughter is going to be with us just for about a month, about 6 weeks, and then she's going to go live with her mom. So can she just have the rat here for 6 weeks? And, I said yes, but I made it clear that was it. And, because I had these good tenants. So like what I'm trying to convey to you is that no matter what you think, how good you think somebody is, there's always going to be, there could be something that somebody's hiding. So you need to be vigilant, you need to keep your ears open, and you need to also be flexible in making decisions. I would rather know about it than not know about it. That's the way I had to think about it. And I did not tell my mom about it because that would have just, thrown her over the edge. Here she is having to leave her house and she's in assisted living. She doesn't have any control over any of the stuff that's happening. And now some new people are in her house who she likes, but there's also a rat there. She would just have lost it and she didn't need that. So I took on that stress. So as far as I know, the rat was only there for a specific, short period of time. I did not charge them extra for that. But there was a deposit that they paid and also the pet deposit. So there's that. So you just never know at any turn what could happen. And sometimes, and this is why it's better sometimes just to have a property management company, because they can be the bad guy. You don't have to be the bad guy. You're just the guy that gets the money at the end of the day. So if, renting is how you have to go, just know that be prepared for anything. And on that note, my mom had very little maintenance issues. We had the windows that didn't close right that I took care of, but everything else in the house seemed to be okay. And if it wasn't, I thought I had taken care of it. Well, ... They moved in May last year, and I swear to you, things started happening. The pool pump wasn't working. And I got a call from the pool maintenance people that said, hey, the water's really low in the pool. Well, the tenants didn't realize that when the water gets low, you need to refill it or else you're gonna burn out the pump. So I have replaced a pump. So I got a call from the pool maintenance people. We told them you need to do this with the, adding water, and they were assuring me that they were doing it, and I think they were, but they were using the pool a lot more than my mom ever did in the recent years because she couldn't get in it. And so that pump took on a lot of extra work, and then it just, so, many $100s later, that was an expense I didn't think I was going to have. And then the other thing, they said, it doesn't seem to be cooling off here. The air conditioner was relatively new, only about 2 years old. So what's the problem? So we called the AC guy that I called the AC guy that my mom always used. And he came out straight away and he said he was gonna fix it. And guess what? He disappeared and he didn't come back. So then I had to find another maintenance person for the AC, and I found a great company, and they came back and they said, whoever this was that did this work didn't use manufacturer equipment. They put the wrong fan in the machine, and this is why it's not working, because these people wanted it super cool in there. And my mom, as many elderly people do, they keep the house a little warmer. They're saving money. They get colder easy, so they keep the house a little bit at a higher temperature. Well, these folks liked it cold, and that thing was just working. And so the AC needed some repairing that we didn't expect and thought it was already in good shape. But anyways, the people that fixed it said, we're able to, it's the machine is still under warranty. I'm able to fix this, and it's not going to cost you very much. Okay, now a couple of weeks later, still not cooling. The AC people get called back, and these are phone calls I'm not expecting to have to deal with. So if I had a property management company, they would be handling this. Anyways, get the people back there, and I think this is a different person. They come and they say, you're going to need all new ductwork. Now, this is a small house, 1,100 square feet-ish of living area, not a big house. How much could that be, right? Well, the quotes were between 10 and 15,000, and it is the beginning of summer, and people will not go in your attic at the beginning. They won't go during the summer. They're like, we won't do it until October. So I had to call around and find a reputable company that would do the work in the attic at the beginning. It was June, I think. It was mid-June. It's already hot, and the attic's hot, and it's a danger to their workers. So that's something I didn't expect, but I was able to get this company to agree to do the work. They did a great job. They even punched out a new vent in an area, in a room that was always kind of warm to begin with. It just didn't have the proper ductwork being pulled through to that part of the house. And so they were able to fix that in the dead of summer. And again, some people are just not equipped to deal with that from a distance. I was able to do that, got a good company, and we were able to do certain financing because it was very expensive. I want to say it was on closer to the $15,000 mark. So that was something we did not expect, but we're paying that out over the course of a couple of years, interest-free. They offer those kind of programs, but just be prepared. Anything could happen. So also the tenants, they had to live there while the air was not working so well. But they never asked for a reduced rate. And I did eventually, I chopped off a little bit as an inconvenience, that they had. I gave them a slightly reduced rent because they were paying on time. They were telling me about things that were wrong or needed repaired. And I do appreciate that very much because it's very important that we keep that home in good shape. So those are lessons that I hope that, when you go down this road, that you think about, hey, I'm not expecting this, but it could happen always with tenants. So you want to make sure that they're going to pay and that you're prepared to deal with any maintenance issues, especially if you're going to manage the property on your own. So I highly recommend dealing with a property management company. And so in my next video, I want to talk to you about being able to do all this because you're not the owner of the property, perhaps. And there are different legal things that you may have to do in order to be able to take care of these things for your aging parents. My name's Allison Newland. I'm the broker owner of Platinum Properties of Florida. And although I'm a real estate broker, I am the daughter of an aging parent. Reach out to me if you need anything. I am here to help.